Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So reading from the Bhagavad-gita As It Is, chapter 2, text number 32, correct? Okay. Yadrichaya chapopanam svargadharam apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labante yudham idrisam. The word for word, yadrichaya, by its own accord. Cha also upapanam, arrived at. Svarga, of the heavenly planets. Dvaram, door. Apavritam, wide open. Sukhina, very happy. Kshatriya, the members of the royal order. Partha, O son of Pratha. Labante, do achieve. Yudham, war. Idrisam, like this. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O Partha, happy are the kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Purport. As supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, quote, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Now one may ask, why would Krishna ask Arjuna to do an activity which he considers to be perpetual habitation in hell? The reason he's saying this is because Krishna is asking him to fight with and kill personalities such as Bhima, Dronacharya. Bhima is the most respected personality on the planet, practically, with the exception of personalities like Krishna and like that. But he is an extremely respected person. Dronacharya, he's the teacher of all the Pandavas. They all had so much affection for these two great personalities that he's just considering this to be perpetuation or perpetual habitation in hell by even attempting to harm such great personalities. So Prabhupada goes on to say, now, it's interesting. The first thing that Prabhupada says in this first line here is, he says, as supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna contends the attitude of Arjuna. So this is the position of Krishna. I mean, how many teachers are there in the world? Millions. And at that time also, there were so many teachers. But Krishna, he's the supreme teacher of the world. And the Bhagavad-gita is, you could say, his supreme teaching. Also the Uddhava-gita. Uddhava-gita was spoken to Uddhava in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna is an extremely intelligent personality, a supreme teacher. And he's teaching Arjuna about what is the best thing he can do. What is morally the best thing that he can do. So this whole Bhagavad Gita, it's a discussion about what is it, what should he actually do? And Krishna is trying to convince him to fight. Now there's a lot of people in the world that are spiritual. And when we explain to them the Bhagavad Gita, it's Krishna's the supreme spiritual person. which Krishna is, trying to convince Arjuna to fight. They can't understand how is this? He's supposed to be a spiritual teacher, which is the whole Bhagavad-gita. It's a spiritual text, to help us grow spiritually. So how can he be trying to convince his disciple to fight? It's something that's difficult for people to grasp. But sometimes, as Prabhupada says in one purport, when arguments fail, he says when good arguments fail, then violence is necessary. So they actually tried to avoid the war. Krishna went there to the Kauravas as a messenger to try to convince them to just give the Pandavas some land, just give them a village or something. They're kshatriyas, they got to manage something. So Duryodhana said, we will not give them the amount of land that the end of a needle can go on. So he was a little puffed up. He was a little proud. So therefore it was inevitable that a war was going to take place. So now Krishna is trying to convince him to fight. But what's interesting is before this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna had already fought with Bhima and Dronacharya. Well, I'll talk about that a little later. And actually, he's already been to heaven too. So we'll talk about that a little after this, after the purport. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become nonviolent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a kshatriya to be on the battlefield and to become nonviolent is the philosophy of fools. In the Parasara Smriti, or religious codes made by Parasara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is said, kshatriyo hi praja rakshan, shastra pani padhandayan, nirjit parashainyadi, kshitim dharmena halayat. The kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties. And for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. Considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom. And if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Sakya Chakshram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Ukum Kotuva Chalang Pangunong Hayate Garim Yat Kripa Talaham Bande Shigaram Janataranam. Vanchikapatribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Here in the purport, we hear how Parashara Muni gives the duties of a kshatriya. In the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna goes into more detail. He says that the duty or the nature of a kshatriya is he's heroic. He's a great hero. So much so that he never turns his back in a battle. Either he dies in the battle or he wins. Those are the only two options for a kshatriya, for a real kshatriya. He goes into battle, he's either going to win or he's going to die. There's no other, he fights until he wins or he dies. That's a powerful personality. There's one instance, I think it's in the Mahabharata, where one king, he went to war with another king and he lost. But then he went back to his kingdom. He didn't die in the battle. And his wife, the queen, when she saw him in the kingdom compound, she shouted, "Who is this? This can't be the king. He lost a battle, but he's still walking. What is this? What kind of a king is this?" In other words, she was a kshatriya wife, so she knew the rule of a kshatriya, that you either win or you die. So he got criticized by his own wife. So to be a kshatriya is like it's pretty intense. So heroism, power. Kshatriya is very powerful. He's determined. He's got great determination to win in battle. He's resourceful. He's got great courage. He's generous, and he's a leader. So these are the qualities or the duties of a kshatriya. One time a devotee said, "Srila Prabhupada, you should be the president of the United States." And Prabhupada said, No. I would not want to have that. But I can guide the president, give him direction. Of course, that would never happen. But that's actually the way it should be. And that's the way it was in bygone ages, that the kshatriya, he would take guidance from the Brahmanas. And it's said that there's different types of intelligence. There's lazy intelligence, and there's active intelligence. And there's different types of fools. There's an active fool, and there's a lazy fool. The best is to have lazy intelligence. And Prabhupada gives the example of a judge. He's just sitting at the bench, in the high court bench there, and he's just giving advice or giving results of what he thought different prisoners or different people that are being questioned, what they should get. So he's just sitting on the bench, but he's getting so much money. So the Brahmanas also, he's compared to lazy intelligence. He's giving guidance to society, to the leaders. And he studies. He studies scripture. He meditates. He follows so many rules and regulations. And mainly he's devoted to Krishna. So lazy intelligence, then active intelligence is the Brahmana, the kshatriya. So the Brahmana, he's giving guidance to the kshatriya, and he fulfills the order of the Brahmana. So active intelligence. So he's doing the work. And then lazy fool is like the Vaishya. He's got business and he's doing so much work in his business, but he's not working real hard. He's using his brain to make money and do his business and like that. And then the active fool is the Sudra. He's fulfilling the desires of the Vaishya. Yeah. Prabhupada says that the active fool is compared to a monkey. Some of you may have been in India. As soon as someone sees a monkey, immediately you shoo him away. You get it, because he's going to be a disturbance. Try to get him away. And even if you go to some places where there's a lot of monkeys, like Vrindavan, many people, they walk around with a stick because monkeys don't like sticks. And as soon as they come away, they pull up their stick. So these are different types of people. But Prabhupada, he wanted that there be Brahmanas in society, because there's already so many Sudras. Even our leaders in society, they're Sudras. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Actually, in Kali-yuga, everybody's, even the Brahmanas, they're Sudras. And it's even said that demons will take birth in Brahmin families. And therefore, even Prabhupada was criticized by Brahmanas because he was turning mlechas and yavanas into Brahmanas. They didn't know, the essence of scripture, that anybody can be a devotee of Krishna if they devote themselves, if they're devoted. Anybody can become a Brahmana. So, and amazingly, the Brahmanas in Vrindavan, when Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur went there, and he was also doing this, he was making Brahmanas from Sudras and Vaishyas. And so he was so much criticized and so much looked down upon by the Brahmanas in Vrindavan that they wanted to kill him. And they went to the police and they offered a 25,000 rupee bribe to the police if they can just let it be, that they're going to take his life, that they say nothing. Just. And 25,000 rupees back in 1930s, that was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. Not like now. So the police wouldn't take the bribe, wouldn't take the money. He told these Brahmanas, we do that, we take bribes, but not when it comes to a saintly person. So they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't take the bribe. And the police told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you be careful, this is the situation. They want to take your life. And when they would do parikram in Vrindavan, the temples, the Goswamis, they would close the doors so they couldn't go in the temple. And they would throw rocks at the devotees in the Harinam. So these are so-called Brahmanas. These are Kali-yuga Brahmanas. So it's a very, very degraded age. And Krishna, he told Uddhava that you should leave because soon Kali-yuga will begin and you don't want to be here. So it's a very, very degraded age. But there's a statement, Kalar doshanid he rajan asti he kamahadgun kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vijay. That this age of Kali is filled with many, many faults. Practically unlimited faults in this age. But the one good quality of this age is that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one can become completely purified of all contamination and be qualified to enter into the kingdom of God. So this is the power of the holy name. So this is like a great opportunity for us to advance and actually become completely purified and go back to Godhead. So we should take advantage of this chanting of Hare Krishna, and of course hearing the scriptures, Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that one should go on hearing and hearing and hearing again and again, and eventually one will become purified. But we have to be determined, just like here it said kshatriya is determined. This is also the natural quality of a devotee. We have to be very determined in order to achieve our desired goal. So fortunate for Arjuna, he has already achieved that desired goal. He loves Krishna. And this whole discussion here with Krishna that Arjuna is having, it's actually, this is a pastime for our benefit. Arjuna, he knows that he has to surrender, that he's servant of Krishna, and he's going to do whatever Krishna asks. But for our benefit, this discussion is going on, so we can learn that we have to surrender. So I mentioned earlier that Arjuna, he had already fought with Bhima and Dronacharya. How did that happen? Well, man, how did that happen? He and the other Pandavas, this is all described in the Mahabharata, that Duryodhana, he wanted the kingdom. He didn't want to share it with the Pandavas. Because Yudhisthira was the eldest, he was going to be the king. But Duryodhana didn't want that to happen at all. So he had some other people who were kind of like advisors, and also quite demoniac, Shakuni and Karna. So they came up with this plan to gamble with Yudhisthira. And one of the characteristics, or even a duty of a kshatriya, is he doesn't refuse a fight or a challenge in any way, a game of anything. He accepts. So they wanted to play dice. So Yudhisthira, all right, let's play. But he wasn't very good. But Shakuni, he was very good. And he was betting everything away. He was losing everything. So much so that he even bet away his brothers. He bet away himself. He bet away Draupadi. So he had nothing. It was pretty intense. So much so that Bhima, he said he would kill all the sons of Dhritarashtra. It was a very intense thing. So then they left, and then they were called back. Dhritarashtra called them back and gave him everything back because he felt guilty. But then they were called back again for another match. And they lost again, and with that they had to go to the forest for 12 years. And actually 13 years. And the last year they had to be incognito. And if they were noticed, then they'd have to go back again for 12 years. So within that time, of course, there are many amazing pastimes happened within that time. The Mahabharata is just, I love the Mahabharata, it's just amazing. So after the 12 years, they had to go into this incognito. So they went to this kingdom called Virata. And the king of Virata, he accepted them all, but Bhima, he was a cook. He was in charge of the kitchen. He likes to eat a lot, so it's good to be around the food. And Yudhisthira, he was kind of like an entertainer, a dicer. He would like entertain the king. And Arjuna, believe it or not, he was a eunuch, and he was teaching Uttara, the king's daughter, how to sing and dance. And how that came about is interesting. This happened while he was in heaven, actually, because Indra was the father of Arjuna. So Indra arranged that Arjuna go to heaven. So he was in heaven, experiencing the heavenly pleasures of this of heaven. So while he was there, Indra also arranged for him to be with a society girl, Urvasi. But he didn't want to be with her because he considered her like a mother, because he would be with Indra sometimes, his father. She would be with Indra sometimes. So he was so moral. He just saw this, I mean, you can imagine how beautiful Urvasi, she's a society girl of heaven. She must have been extremely attractive, much more attractive than any woman on this planet. But he no, you're my mother, I can't. So she cursed him to be a eunuch for a year. And he was a little distraught about that. But then Indra heard about it and he said, no, that's good. That's good. That'll be needed in the future. Because he also had some yogic power. He understood, this last year where they had to be incognito, this would be a good disguise. So while he was in Virata, he was a eunuch. He had braided hair and he wasn't a male or a female. And he was teaching Uttara. So after some time, towards the end of the year, there was a person, I think, Kichakta, wasn't it? One kshatriya, he started giving eyes towards Draupadi. Kichataka, I think, something like that. You remember the name? Atma? Kichataka, I think his name was. But anyway, he was a powerful kshatriya, but he started, looking towards Draupadi, thinking to enjoy her, and even made some statement in that regard that he wanted to be with her. So she was just appalled that anybody can even think in such a way. She told Bhima that this person is, he's making a Bhima just like, he just said, well, listen, I'll take care of this. You arrange. Can you still hear me? Because I just got a statement that the internet is weak. Is it okay? Nod yes or no?
It's going in and out a little bit for the last minute, but we didn't lose you. It was,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Bhima told Draupadi, tell him to meet you in your room that night, and I'll be there to greet him. So she did that, and he came that night, and he had a big surprise because Bhima was there, and he actually this person, he was a powerful kshatriya also. He practically never lost any fights. He was but eventually just completely annihilated him. So much so that he just looked like a lump. You could almost unrecognizable. So it was a big, when it was found out that it was Kichatika, that everybody was shocked because he was so powerful. Everybody feared him, so powerful. So word got around also to the Kurus that this person had been killed. And then to conquer Virata, because he was the main problem. He would cause problems to the Kurus as well. So they decided to conquer Virata. So they went there, but they also wanted to take some cows. They wanted to take a bunch of their cows. So a person came in and he gave an announcement. The Kurus they're taking the cows. So the king he got Yudhisthira and Bhima and some of the others, and then his whole army to protect the cows. So they went and they fought the Kurus with the help of Yudhisthira and Nakula and Sahadev and Bhima. He was able to be victorious. He was very happy about that. But then on the other side of this of his kingdom, more cows were being taken away, also by the Kurus. But this time it was with the head of the Kurus, like Duryodhana and Bhishma, Dronacharya, these big, Karna, all these big kshatriyas. So again, announcement was this person went to the kingdom and announced that the cows are being taken from here as well. So the only person there at the kingdom, because others were with this other battle, was the son of the king, and Arjuna as a eunuch. So he said, "All right, I'll take him. I'll take him on." Yes, because he's a kshatriya. And so they were heading him on. Yeah, you can do it. Well, I don't have a driver because his driver had been killed. And then Draupadi, she had a different name at that time, said, "Well, the eunuch, she can drive. She used to drive for Arjuna, in the Pandavas." So he said, "What? A eunuch's gonna drive me? Come on, a eunuch can't drive. He can't be. That's ridiculous." She said, "No. She's good. All right. I don't have anything else. All right." So they drive out there, and Arjuna's he's the chariot driver, and the king's son is in the back. And when he gets out there and he sees the Kurus, like there's a lot of them, like thousands of them, and Bhishma's there, and Drona's there, Dronacharya is there, and Karna is there, and he got scared to death. He was shivering. So he got off the chariot and started running away. So the eunuch, Arjuna, said, "Hey, you're accepted. You can't run away. You can't do that. Come on, you gotta fight." No, I can't. He said, "No, I can't fight them. These are the Kurus. This is the huge army, and the leading the Kurus are there. What am I gonna do?" He said, "All right, don't worry. I'll fight." So he said, so they went to this tree, this Sami tree. This is where Arjuna kept his weapons while he was in exile. So it happened to be right there, Krishna's arrangement. So he told the prince to go up and get these weapons. So he went up and he got them, and they opened the bag, and he was like amazed that these weapons, they glowed. And he said, "Who do these belong to? Whose are these?" And Arjuna said, "Well, they're mine. Actually, I'm Arjuna, but don't tell anybody." So then he was shocked, and he started apologizing in the way he spoke to him and spoke about him. So then Arjuna, with this prince, he started driving it, and Arjuna, he was the warrior. So Arjuna, he twanged his bow, and when he twanged his bow, everybody knew that's Arjuna. That's Arjuna. So then the battle took place. So this is the first time that Arjuna fought with Bhima, fought with Dronacharya, Duryodhana, all of them. And he was, because they had gone through so much difficulty, because of the intrigues of Duryodhana and Shakuni and them, that he was just itching to fight. So he really let his wrath out, and he won. He defeated everybody. Of course, he didn't kill the main personality, Dronacharya and Bhima. He had so much, but he did fight with them. But he had so much love for them, and they also had so much love for him, for Arjuna. They were fighting each other, but it was more like a kshatriya play out, kind of playing, not serious, because there was so much affection for each other amongst them. So this is how Arjuna went to heaven already, and he had already fought with Bhima and Dronacharya. So it's interesting that this, here in the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, he's no, how can I fight them? He already had. But this is so that we can hear the Bhagavad-gita. And we're so fortunate that we have these amazing teachings of Krishna in the Bhagavad-gita to give us guidance in our life and how to live. Actually, the Bhagavad-gita, it's a guidance book for the human form of life. And if anybody follows the teachings of Krishna in the Bhagavad-gita, then they can go back to Godhead. That's what it is. The Bhagavad-gita is a ticket back to Godhead, back to the spiritual world, if one follows the teachings. But one has to follow strictly. Prabhupada mentions in the preface or the intro, it's just like if someone is ill and is given medicine, he has to follow the instructions given on the bottle. In this way, one will get the desired result of becoming free of disease. But if one speculates, well, it says 2 here, but I think I'll take maybe 4 or 5. And just speculating. No, we have to follow the instructions. Krishna is giving us instructions by which we can become completely purified and go back to Godhead. But we have to follow them. And one of the most important instructions in the Bhagavad-gita is Manmana Bhavad Bhakta Majhadimam Namaskaru Mamaivashasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosame. Always think of me. And there's so many things that we can think of in this world, like billions of things. But if we think of Krishna, very auspicious, because Krishna is very pure. He's the most pure. Here, Prabhupada says that Krishna, he is the supreme teacher in the world. He's also the most pure. Now, some people can't appreciate that. How is he the most pure? And sometimes he's even criticized. Just like Christians, they go to India and they criticize Krishna. What kind of a God is this? He goes out with unmarried women and even married women. He's stealing things. And what kind of a God is this? But no, he didn't go off with the gopis for a sense gratification. He went with the gopis, the Rasalila, to please the devotees. He's Atmaram. He's completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything. But the gopis had so much love for Krishna. They wanted to dance with Krishna. So he's just fulfilling their desire. Married women, single women, and giving them great happiness by this. And stealing butter, makkanchor, You know, everybody got so much pleasure. You know, it's like there's the pastime of Krishna. He's entering into a house, I think Jatila, and as he's entering the house, he's going very slowly, and he's got his friends behind him, and he says to his friends, "Shh, she's sleeping." Shh. But it's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion that she wasn't sleeping, but just hearing Krishna speaking like that, and going sneaking in like that, it's described that she put a big smile on her face because she's relishing Krishna going into her house and stealing butter. They love it. They love it. There's another amazing pastime where Krishna, he's in one elderly gopi's home stealing butter, and she catches him, and she says, "Now I've caught you red-handed. Now I'm going to take you to your mother. You're going to get chastised." And he says, "Oh, no, Mataji, please don't do that, please. Please, I'll never do it again. I promise you, I'll never, ever do it again. Please don't take me to my mother. She's going to punish me." No, I told you again, don't do this. Now I've caught you. So she takes Krishna. She takes Krishna to Mother Yasoda, and she knocks on the door. "Oi, Mother Yasoda, I caught your boy. He's been stealing butter in my home. You have to stop him." And Mother Yasoda comes to the door and says, "Mataji, what do you say? What is this?" She said, "Your boy here, Krishna, he came to my house. He's stealing butter. He does it all the time. Now I've caught him. You have to punish him." And Mother Yasoda looks down and says, Mataji, I think you're working too hard. You're working too hard. You should take it easy. You don't have Krishna in your hand. That's your own boy." And she looks down. She says, where's Krishna?" And Mother Yasoda says, "Mataji, it's okay. You're just working too hard. It's all right. Go home. Take some rest. It's okay." And then she says, "Oh, Mother Yasoda, I'm sorry. I'll go take some rest." And then she walks away, and then Krishna turns into Krishna again. And he looks up at her and says, "Mataji, if you ever do this to me again, I'm going to turn into your husband." And then she freaks out. She ran away. But they relish it. Krishna is a thief. It's like all over the place there's thieves. And when we're kids, you steal things. So where'd that come from? That comes from Krishna. That comes from Krishna. So everything about Krishna is attractive. Whatever he speaks is attractive. And therefore the Bhagavad-gita has been taught in universities for hundreds of years, translated in practically all the languages of the world, 80 or 90 languages of the world. And big professors are trying to understand the deep meaning of the Bhagavad-gita. Of course, they can't understand. Only devotees can understand the meaning of the Bhagavad-gita. So, and therefore, Arjuna, Krishna, he spoke the Bhagavad-gita because he's a devotee. He's a devotee of Krishna. He says, therefore, you'll be able to understand the transcendental mystery of this message because you're my devotee. So to be a devotee of Krishna is not easy. Actually, Krishna says, he who says he's my devotee, he's not my devotee. But he who says that he's the devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. So we have to serve the Vaishnavas. Gopi Bharatu Parikamaliyor Dasa Dasa Anudas. Devotees of the Lord, they want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the lover of the gopis. They just want to serve the devotees. And it's said, just like here, it says that the door to the heavenly planets is opened for the kshatriyas who fight duty bound. So the door to the spiritual world is opened for those who are servants of the Vaishnavas. Mahatsevam dvoram ahori muktes, tamo dvoram yositam sangi sangam, mahantaste samachita prasanta, vimanyava sur sadhavoye. That anybody who serves the Mahatmas, the great devotees, then the door to the spiritual world is opened. And what are the qualities of these great devotees? Matsevam dvoram ahor vimuktes, tamo dvoram yositam sangisam, mahantaste samachita, that they're equal towards everyone. They see the soul in everyone. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmane gavihastani sunichayo kakiga pandita samadarshana. So this is a devotee. He sees no difference. He sees the same. You know, the Brahmanas, the cow, the elephant, the dog eater. He sees with equal vision because he sees that everybody is a soul. And there's a nice pastime of Prabhupada in this regard. When he went to Africa, the devotees in Africa, they were mainly preaching to the Indians. There's a lot of Indians in Africa. But Prabhupada said, but you're not preaching to the locals? And the devotees said, well, Prabhupada, they're not that interested, you know. Prabhupada said, no. Open the doors. They had the temple there. Open the doors. It was kind of like a storefront, a good-sized storefront. Open the doors for them to come. So as soon as they did, it filled up with black people. So Prabhupada didn't see some are black, some are white, some are Indian. No. He saw everybody is spirit soul. And because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, now there's so many African devotees, so many temples in Africa because of the purity, the samadarshana of Srila Prabhupada. So Mahantaste is samachita prasanta, and a devotee is very peaceful. Prashanta, he's peaceful. Krishna bhakti nishkama, ataeva shanta, bhukti mukti siddhikami sakalya shanta. So why is a devotee peaceful? Because he has no material desires. But Krishna, Krishna bhakti nishkama, ataeva shanta, bhukti mukti siddhikami sakalya. But persons who have material desires, who want liberation, bhukti mukti, siddhikami, some mystic perfections, they can't be peaceful because they have personal desires. A pure devotee has no personal desires. He simply wants to please Krishna. And therefore there's this beautiful verse, one of my favorite verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savaya pungsam paro dharmo yato bhakti hoksuje. That the supreme occupational duty for all mankind is that by which one can engage in loving devotional service unto me. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. So this is what satisfies the self. Unmotivated, no material motivation. Generally, everybody has some motivation. Even in spiritual life, it's like it's described that there's different types of people who go to God. Artha, Digyasa, Artharthi, 4 types of people. People that are distressed. Now, with this COVID, you know, people are turning to God more. Smart. So people go to God because they're distressed. They go to God because they want some financial security, or they're inquisitive, or they want knowledge of God. So these are different reasons that people approach God, but these aren't pure reasons. Of course, someone who wants to know about God, that's actually, Krishna says that he is very dear to me, that person. But to have no motivation other than to please Krishna, this is the goal. We just want to, so we have to pray to Krishna like that. Krishna, please Fill me with this one desire, just to serve you, with no other motivation. Yeah. Now, it's a gradual process. It's not an easy achievement, but we had to be patient and determined. And the example is given just like if you have a big, huge, solid boulder, big, huge boulder, and you have the soft water drops going down on this huge boulder, every few seconds or something. The soft water wears away the strong stone. So this soft, determined, patient service to Krishna, this will wear away the Maya. So that eventually there's no more Maya. Just to keep practicing, keep doing it, keep doing it. It's not easy, but even while we're attempting to be pure, still it's a nice process. We get nice prasadam, we get nice association of devotees, nice philosophy. One time, Prabhupada was speaking about our philosophy, and he said, it's such a wonderful philosophy. Now, he said, if anybody else can bring us a philosophy better, then we'll take it. Give us something better, and we'll take it. But there's nothing better. Mata paratan nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. Everything is resting on me, as pearls are strung on a thread. So this is the highest truth. So we should take it very seriously, really try to absorb our mind in service to Krishna and the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And you'll find yourselves growing exponentially in your spiritual life. But yeah, it takes this determination. Utsaha, this determination. And devotee asked Prabhupada, what if a devotee doesn't have determination? Prabhupada said that he's an animal. Animals don't have determination. Human beings can have determination. And if we don't have that determination, we should pray for it. Whatever we want in our devotional journey that we may need, we should pray to Krishna. Man proposes, God disposes. He'll help us. So we need determination. Utsaha nishchaya, we need confidence. So that confidence comes from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavad-gita, associating with the devotees, hearing from the devotees. We become confident that yes, this is the truth. And if I practice this truth sincerely, then I'll reach the desired goal. Shraddha Shabda Vishvasa Kahi Sudrida Nishchoy. Krishna Bhakti Koi Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That faith means that I know that if I continue on serving Krishna in this way, with the desire to please him, then I'll achieve all success. All success will be there if we just continue on with determination, with patience. Also, patience is very important. Confidence. Yeah. It's like this amazing pastime of Lord Chaitanya. There was a devotee. He was also a childhood friend of Lord Chaitanya, Mukunda. Now, Mukunda, he would go and he would hear from the devotees, and sometimes he would go and he would hear from others, Mayavadis. So Lord Chaitanya was not very happy with that. So during the Sadbhuj, where Lord Chaitanya was giving his blessings, not Sadbhuj, the Swayam Prakash, where Lord Chaitanya, this is I think 23 hours, devotees were coming and Lord Chaitanya was giving blessings, just giving blessings to them. And everybody was just in ecstasy. Because Lord Chaitanya, he revealed who he is. And devotees were just in ecstasy. So but he hadn't given his mercy to Mukunda for this reason, because he would go and he would hear from the Maya bodies. He had some faith in what they were saying. So he said, he comes and he offers flowers to me, and then he hits me on the head. That's what he considered that, to hear from the Maya bodies. So he was not pleased at all. So Mukunda asked the devotees, asked Lord Chaitanya if I will also get his darshan, get his mercy. So they asked. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, because he has faith here, he has faith there. So this is not proper. So they went back and they told Mukunda, Lord Chaitanya, he's not accepting you. So he told the devotees, can you ask him if I'll ever get his darshan again? So they went and they asked Lord Chaitanya, will he ever get your darshan again? And he said, after 10 million births, he will see me again. So when they told, they were very distraught. And they told Mukunda, he said that after 10 million births, he'll get his darshan again. So what did Mukunda do? He started dancing. I'll see him again. I'll see him again. I'll see him again. He was just in ecstasy that he would get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya again. And the devotees were astounded because they said 10 million births. So they went and they told Lord Chaitanya. And they said, Lord Chaitanya, you won't believe it. We told him 10 million births and he started dancing. He was in ecstasy because he's going to get your darshan again. He was so happy. So Lord Chaitanya, he started smiling. And he said, call him to me. Bring him to me now. So they went out. They were so happy. The devotees were so happy. Mukunda. Lord Chaitanya said, you can come now. You can come now. But he was so much in ecstasy. He's still calling out, I'll see him again. I'll see him again. I'll see him again. He didn't hear. Mukunda couldn't hear them saying that. And finally they had to grab him and say, Mukunda, listen, you can go right now. You can go see him now. Now? I can see him now? Yeah. Oh, okay. So he went and he got the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. So that's patience. 10 million births. And he'll get the darshan. But he was so happy because he knew, he had faith. Lord Chaitanya says it, then I'll get his darshan again. Even it may be, take some time. So we have to be patient. But don't be too patient. Don't think, well, yeah, so many lifetimes ahead. Maybe some lifetime I'll get it together. But no, we should really try this lifetime to get the mercy of Krishna, to surrender to Krishna. So Mahatsevan Dor Mahantaste Samachitanta Manyava Sura Saravarya. That a devotee is, actually I should find it here. I don't remember the exact Mahatsevam. I'll get the exact translation here. This is such an important verse. Mahatsevam.
5502.
5502. You're quick. You know what it is? Oh, you already knew?
Well, I didn't know the number, but I'm familiar with the verse.
Yeah, here it is. So, Vimanyava means without anger. Without anger. Sometimes someone may say something to you and you get angry. Just like I know amazing. Well, there was two friends of mine that were having a discussion in the temple room, and it got a little heated, and one of the devotees just just walked away, kind of disgusted. And he was paying obeisances to Prabhupada in the temple room. And the other devotee came over and kicked him in the rib in the temple room in front of Prabhupada. So there was so much anger, but this is, you got to control the anger. Vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam, jiva vegam, uratasta vegam, etang vegam, yovasahetya, sarvamikamam, pritavingsa. That one is able to control the urge to speak, the mind's demands, lust, or no, the tongue, belly, and genitals. Such a devotee is eligible to make disciples all over the world. So we have to control the urge to speak. You know, there's in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna explains that there's 5 austerities of speech. Anudvegam karang vakyam satyam priyam hitangcha swajya vyasanam chaivam manmayam tap uchate. These are the 5 austerities of speech. The first one is don't speak in a way that is agitating to others. Control the anger. You know, what is it in the kshatriya? There's a verse that the Krishna Das Kaviraj, he said this verse should be worn around one's neck, strung by the holy name. Chanadapi sunichena tarorapi sahistana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. I want you to chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others without desiring respect for oneself. So more tolerant than a tree. You know, trees are pretty tolerant. Just like it's winter up there in New York, and it's cold. You know, they don't have any coats. You know, it's cold. You know, they also experience cold. They're living entities in there. They tolerate it. Then it gets very hot. It gets muggy. In New York, yeah, I think you get mosquitoes there even, right? So, and then sometimes people
Long Island, we get mosquitoes.
Huh?
In Long Island, we get mosquitoes.
Nowhere else?
Well, I'm not sure about Manhattan. I'm trying to think about that. I'm not sure about that.
Well, there's a lot more pollution there. Maybe not. Maybe that'll go to Long Island.
I don't know.
So, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So tolerance. I was speaking to one devotee, sannyasi. Actually, he was giving class about this tolerance, and I asked a question. I said, you know, this example of the tree being tolerant. I mean, I don't really catch that analogy because the tree can't talk. You know, it's just a tree. It can't complain. If it could complain, maybe, you know, it'd say, hey, you know, don't carve your initial in me. You know, get out of here, buddy. You know, it's hit him with his branch or something. So the sannyasi gave a very good example. I mean, very good answer. He said, therefore, a devotee is more tolerant than a tree because although he can complain, he can protest, he doesn't. So this is very important to remember that we have to be tolerant. Yeah. But we don't tolerate the rascal mind. We beat the mind. You know, like Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he said, in the morning, we beat the mind 100 times with a shoe. Yeah. And in the evening, 100 times with a broomstick. Yeah. Now, this was India. Yeah. This was India. People a little more cultured. Here in the West, we're so uncultured. Our mind is so wild. So we got to beat our mind constantly. All day long, it's got to be beaten. It's funny that in the early days, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last class I gave, anyway, maybe. In the early days, devotees would take everything very literally. So when they heard that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said we should beat our mind in the morning with a shoe every morning, they took it literally. All the devotees went down to the basement, and everybody got somebody else's shoes, and they would beat them head 100 times. It was part of the morning program. Every morning, they would go down, they would get somebody else's shoe, and And then Prabhupada heard about that. And he said, no, 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 no. You beat the mind with the intelligence, not with somebody else's shoes. So they stopped doing that. But they kind of missed that part of the program, that part of the morning program. So, yeah, we have to beat the mind with the intelligence. But if the intelligence is not strong, then how can it beat the mind? How can it beat the mind? So we have to nurture the intelligence by hearing regularly Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, regularly hearing. And don't hear the nonsense. Every evening we have we have the evening news, Bhagavad Gita. And in the morning we have the nice morning news, Srimad Bhagavatam. But the karma is they have the evening news. It's all bad news. NBC, ABC. It's all bad news. You have the morning news. Before they go to work, they watch the morning news. It's terrible. It's all bad. There's no good news there. It's all bad news. But people there, they gotta hear the news. Like Prabhupada gives the example of one priest in Ireland. He was preaching. This is before Jesus was very famous there, I guess. And he was preaching that if you don't surrender to Jesus, then you're going to go to hell. Oh, they said, well, what is hell like? Well, it's damp and it's dark and it's terrible. And they said, well, they're miners working in the mine. It's damp down there. It's dark. It's hellish. Well, not going to be much different than here. And then the priest said, well, there's no newspapers. And they said, oh, horrible, horrible. No newspapers. All right, we'll surrender it. But it's all bad news. But we have all good news. Yeah. And if you do read the news, then you lament because there's no benefit there. You don't get inspired. If you watch the news or you read the news, nothing there is inspiring. In Brazil, they used to have this radio channel, and it was the radio channel was the Good News Channel, just good news. They put no bad. It was just good news, but they only lasted for 6 months. They ran out of good news. They had to stop. So the material world, it's all bad news. So better we not, read the newspaper or listen to the news. There's nothing inspiring there, and it leaves things in your mind that you don't want to be there. We want Krishna in our mind. So better read the good news, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and then good things will stay in our mind. We're trying to clear everything else out. We're trying to, just like when they're renovating a building, they call it gutting the building. Gutting the building. They get everything out except for the wall, right? Except for the wall. And then they just gut it. So we want to get everything out of our mind except for Krishna. Just get it out. But if we watch the news, if we watch the movies and things like this, then it's more junk going in the brain, and then we got to deal with more stuff. We're trying to get the junk out, but if we watch these things, then more junk is going in, and you lament. So better just absorb our mind in hearing about Krishna, and this way we will get closer and closer to Krishna. So Arjuna, Krishna's gonna speak more and more about the absolute truth. Actually, pretty soon he's gonna give some really nice preaching. But throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna he's preaching, and at the end, Krishna says a very interesting thing. He says, "Iti te kyanam akyatam guya gyatamamaya vimrashana sheshena yathat vaso yatatama." He says, now you've heard even more confidential knowledge. Now you deliberate on this fully, and you do as you like. So this is Krishna. We've always got free will. He spoke the whole Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, and he said, now you do as you like. What do you want to do? And what did he say? Nasta moha smriti labdha karishye vachanam tava. He said, now, by your mercy, nasta moha, my illusion is gone. Nasta moha smriti labdha. Now, by your mercy, my illusion is gone, and now I'm ready to act as you have instructed. So this should be our mood. Also, as you know, when we finish reading the Bhagavad Gita, yes, now I'm going to surrender to Krishna. And we should have that mood throughout reading the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna be very pleased. And it's in that section, Krishna says that those who study the Bhagavad Gita, they worship me by their intelligence. Those who study the Bhagavad Gita, they worship me by their intelligence. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, our intelligence is getting nurtured, and that'll keep the mind down, and it'll purify the mind. So I think we have a few minutes left. Any questions or comments? Corrections? No? Okay. Should we chat?
Yeah, unless someone raises their hand now. Yeah, we can. Yeah, please. Yeah, let's chant for a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai.
Jai Ho.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Grace Vijaya Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai.
Ita Premanandi. Hari Om. So thanks for the great sharing of philosophy and your realizations, and the great pastimes, Prabhu. Both from different stories from Chaitanya Charitamrita, including those. If you all like to join me expressing appreciation to Vijay Prabhu, you could do so now. Vijay Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Bol.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.